Hello and welcome everyone to Nation Watch. Today is Sunday, 2nd July 2023. We are into a new month. Local government elections are behind us, and we're moving forward with appointing our elected representatives across the country. My name is Mervyn Williams. I'm your host. Thank you very much for joining us. Before we get into our invited guests and the conversations that we'll have with them this morning, we are facing some very, very difficult times and challenges as Indigenous peoples across our country. In a horrific fire not so long ago, we lost 20 young Indigenous peoples, 19 of them girls. And now we have swirling allegations about misconduct of a minister of government with a minor Indigenous girl. Emotions are high. People are questioning the system, whether it is serving the people of this country or the people in power. All those things are floating around. And I want to ask the Indigenous non-governmental organizations, the National Tushaus Council, and all Indigenous peoples across Guyana to call on the government of Guyana to tone down the Heritage Celebrations 2023, to recognize the tragic circumstances that Indigenous peoples are going through at the moment. And I want to call on Indigenous peoples all across Guyana to, as a mark of respect for our Indigenous peoples, particularly our girl children, to tone down celebrations for Indigenous Heritage Month 2023, which is almost upon us. And I want to ask Indigenous NGOs, the National Tushaus Council, and Indigenous peoples all across Guyana to call on the government of Guyana to cancel the heritage celebration, the heritage pageant, I beg your pardon, 2024. I was advised that this is a biennial event and the next one is June 2024. I call on you to exercise reasonableness, to exercise respect for our deceased and for our troubled and affected Indigenous girls across Guyana. Cancel Indigenous Beauty Pageant 2024. And we will look to you for leadership. You rights activists from NGOs and rights activists in your own personal capacities. Once again, thank you for joining Nation Watch, 2nd July 2023. Now you get to meet some of your elected councillors for the municipality of Linden in Region 10. Now, these are the people who were directly elected. These were the people who, with their support teams, walked every street in Linden, every alleyway in Linden, visited every home, knocked on every door, spoke with every citizen, walked the markets, worked the shops, held public meetings on various street corners, talking to people, bringing the messages of a partnership for national unity to the people who were extremely happy to receive them and who were very, very much motivated and offered their support, resulting in 14 of the seats in that municipality being brought home to the APNU, while the other contestant managed only 2. Interestingly, all 8 constituencies were won by those candidates representing the APNU. Now you get to meet some of them. I'll ask the technical operator to bring in our guests so that you can be able to meet them. Mr. Sharma Solomon, former regional chairman of Region 10, welcome to Nation Watch. For those who have not yet met you, I think there have been a very, very small minority. Kindly introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, good morning. Pleasant Sunday to you and your audience. Marvin, it's good to be on your program. Sharma Solomon, I served before as the regional chairman of Region 10, and I've always remained a very committed community activist on many issues, even after my stint as regional chairman. So, with the coming around of 2023 local government elections, I think it was only important for me to demonstrate that it was absolutely necessary in this fight against the People's Progressive Party.
Right, Sharma Solomon, who will be bringing to bear on council his wide-ranging experience in the political arena and in the management of Region 10. And I'm sure the municipality of Linden will be richer for it. We will now meet our other councillors. These, like I said, are councillors elect, those who were directly elected by the people. We have not yet, I believe, settled on the extraction of the other candidates. When we do, I'm sure we'll be able to present them. So let's get to our next guest, who will introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Miss Alicia Bentic. I'm a representative for constituency number 4.
Tell us the boundaries of your constituency, please, Ms. Bentic.
Okay, my constituency that comprises of several communities: Constabulary Compound, Industrial Area, Nykadock, Fairsrust, Richmond Hill, Watuka, Nottinghamshire, Siberia.
Interesting. I want to
Yeah.
I want to go to Mr. Sharma Solomon for a bit. Viewers, we will be joined by some other councillors, I believe at least maybe 3 of them, some of whom are still in church. When they shall have arrived back home, they will join us. So for now, we will speak with Ms. Bentic and Mr. Sharma Solomon. Mr. Solomon, you and Regional Chairman Adams were among the leading managers of this local government campaign 2023. How would you rate the response of Lindeners to the message that the APNU communicated to them? And how would you rate the acceptance of the APNU candidates that were presented in this campaign?
I want to say that and a sincere thank you to the people of Linden in those 8 constituencies who responded quite well. It is the highest number in local government turnout that we've ever had in this community. And it reflected the responsiveness of people in those constituencies, as you outlined, towards the message, which we crafted around 2 very simple areas, which was the PPP, what have they so far, with so much resources at their availability, done for you? And how they would have subjected you, where we crafted that message into a concept called the looking for it culture, which people recognized that was where they had placed this community. And then the second message is, what are they going to do for you? Which there is no clear plan of how this community fits into the national agenda. Whether it is in the area of economics, any expansion in the community, there is no clear definitive arrangement to say where Linden and Region 10, you look at the national economics of oil and gas, fits into that, for example, where now you see 65% of the GDP earnings comes from oil and gas, while bauxite, for example, is now down to 0%. And we're still saying, how do we see Linden fit into that? So the message was simple. People saw nothing being done for them, and people do not see where this government intends to take them in terms of national development. And I believe that message was quite simple. And added to that, the sort of arrogance that the People's Progressive Party came to the campaign in buying people off, in extorting votes by getting people to put on a red t-shirt and extorting them. If they don't come to vote, they will lose jobs and things like that. So those were also important areas where we saw as getting people to pay attention of just what a government we have administering over them, and also to say to them, outside of that, works on going in the community, whether it's in every constituency. We could have looked at the Bamia Primary School, the synthetic track, the Mackenzie Sports Club, the LUS CSL matter, that these were the attitude and behavior of a government that doesn't consult, doesn't engage and allow for full participation of its citizenry in issues directly related to them. So I think the PPP in themselves also demonstrated where people needed to see that change, or if not change, that stronger representation on issues that will hold them a little more accountable in the area of governance, especially in local government and municipality management.
Let's go back to Ms. Bentic. Ms. Bentic, during... Oh no, I think we've lost Ms. Bentic there for a minute. So we'll stick with Sharma Solomon. Sharma, the city of Georgetown is experiencing some grave difficulty due to non-cooperation from central government and massive allegations of overrides of the council's administration by the local government commission. In terms of the fiscal transfer legislation, the city of Georgetown is contending that it is entitled to somewhere in the region of $700 million in subvention per annum, but only receive 30 million in subvention, and the $30 million must suffice for the management of somewhere in the region of 15 constituencies. What sort of challenges in terms of cooperation and financing does Linden face now, to the best of your knowledge? I know you're not inside of the administration yet, and what kind of challenges do you project you will encounter, and perhaps how does the council propose to treat it as a councillor? How do you propose to treat with it?
I would like to say on the level of neutrality, there are clear principles on how local government works. And it is established in 2801. I think there is no clearer article in our constitution that empowers local democratic organs than 2801. So I think that should be clearly established, that there are rules and structures of how a local government organ must and should function. It is at that point we intend to start as a municipality and as people who are coming into the council. We had over the past 5 days, and should be wrapping up today, 5 days of orientation. We had Mr. Vincent Alexander, who was very instrumental in the 2013 bringing to life of the Local Government Act. We had Comrade Mortimer Mingo, who served as the first chairman of the Local Government Commission. And those orientation helped to better allow those young councillors, and including myself, and many of the activists and community representatives that attended them, to have a deeper appreciation of that neutrality, that what is important within the functionality of local government are those structures, the commission, the minister, the council, the councillors, and even at the level of constituencies, everyone having a full understanding of their roles and functions. So we know we're working with rules and laws. We know our roles and functions. How do we get by a government that may pose challenges or prepare to work? Because we have to approach it with that understanding. Because their failure to work must then be demonstrated to the community through those councillors, whether you have a government prepared to work in the interest of community or to work against that interest. So our approach will be in the area of three. Government must deal with local government organs according to 2801. 2801 also says how local government organs go about their budgetary management, how to get resources, and how to allocate those resources. Meager as the subvention for Linden, for example, is at $18 million a year, and how it is distributed by government many times, I believe the reforms will have to change those. But outside of government support through that meager intervention of subvention, and council being able to draw from its own resources of rates and tax collection, it now becomes important for those councillors to build strong networks within communities, to go back to communities, to organize with communities, wherever those low-hanging fruits are available. The same way we went into those communities asking for support, and to even to allow, as you speak to, for example, a constituency councillor, to see some more empowerment of constituency representation. For example, even having outlets and satellite offices that people are more engaged. Those are the sort of low-hanging fruits that whether government supports, whether the municipality have within its ability the resources to do, it now becomes the councillor and the constituency also having a part to play to help to mobilize on its own behalf. And I think this is a fundamental approach we're taking in the ideals of how the People's National Congress and Linden came about through self-sufficiency and self-reliance. And even as we approach that which now becomes any challenge that we will have to face, which is to come back to self. So those are some of the things that we have started to work to appreciate, whether those challenges are real, perceived, of how we will deal with them.
Interesting conversation. The real question is, though, the entitlement versus the self-sufficiency. Would council prefer to work from a position of self-sufficiency and non-reliance on central government, or council feel that it has a right to access resources through the Fiscal Transfer Act, and that entitlement ought to be honored by government?
Certainly, Marvin, certainly. And and it goes deep within many aspects of our Constitution. We can start fundamentally at Article 30, which provides for persons to be involved in these very critical decisions. And we see the approach many times by this government, whether it's ministers coming in. We saw only recently a discussion taking place on the Linden to Mabura Road. And the minister is making the claim he is having a meeting with all key stakeholders, and you don't have the statutory agencies participating in that conversation. So not only to budgetary allocation, but the involvement in every level, including budgetary allocation of those statutory agencies, are in many ways mandated by our Constitution, whether it's Article 13 or even in those fiscal transfer, or even in Chapter 2801 of how the local government organs should be drawing down from government to ensure that it is able to execute its work and mandates.
Thank you, Sharma Solomon, former regional chairman of Region 10, I beg your pardon. As we continue this conversation with our councillors-elect for the municipality of Linden. Councillor-elect Alicia Bentic is back with us. We lost her for a bit there. And Councillor-elect former Member of Parliament Vanessa Kisoon is experiencing some difficulty as she tries to join us. Our technical person is working with Vanessa to get her in. And as soon as we get her in, I hope shortly we'll be able to get her perspective. Ms. Bentic, your constituency, what sort of challenges did you encounter? What sort of difficulties did you encounter in your constituency that requires immediate attention? And as the directly elected person, how are you prepared to respond to those difficult circumstances, to those challenges in your work as a councillor in the town of Linden?
Okay, good day again. In my constituency, three areas need attention right now, you can say: road, lights, and drainage. I know we have at the mayor and town council, we're working closely with the RDC, the Regional Democratic Council, to ratify these issues that we're facing. I know we would normally get through the CDCs, whereby they do the DNI drainage work. So working with the RDC through the CDC and the drainage, we can at least have the drainage works done. And in communicating with our regional chairman, I know for a fact the roads and the lights, we will work on those as well. I will continue to make the positive representation for this to be done as soon as possible.
In terms of the infrastructure works that are being undertaken by the central government, is any of this in your constituency? I saw not so long ago a citizen who is an advocate for the improvement of the quality of lives for the people of Linden put up on Facebook a particular road which he said was showing signs of damage and sinking and so on, less than 24 hours after it was paved. Is this anywhere within your constituency?
That was in constituency 3, that is Wisma Street.
Okay.
And we would have seen over a period of time, the roads that are being done in Linden, the quality of work, I believe they can do better. I believe that when doing something, it needs to be done properly and effectively and efficiently. It needs to be done right. So I believe moving forward, we can make proper representation for those situations to be rectified. I know that we will continue, in fact, working with the RDC. That is our sister agency, and I know for a fact that working with them, we will be able to understand the process and understand how and when certain projects are being done, so we can have the necessary persons going out there and seeing the process, see what's going on. Because sometimes, when you don't know when it's done, is then you see the problem. But if you're there on the ground, you would be able to make some sort of gesture representation for it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bentic. We're joined by Councillor-elect Vanessa Kisoon by phone. There are some difficulties with her getting directly onto the program. Vanessa, are you there?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Comrade Marvin Williams. Good morning to your viewers and those listening, and my colleagues and comrades. I'm not sure who is on, but I know I heard Ms. Bentic just now.
Yes. So Vanessa just stepped out of church to join the program, for which we're very thankful. I had the privilege of serving in the National Assembly as a member of Parliament representing Region 3, while Vanessa was representing Region 10 ably at the same level in the National Assembly. I also had the pleasure of serving on the Guyana Forestry Commission board alongside Ms. Vanessa Kisoon, so I know just a little bit about her capabilities. Vanessa, you bring some experience to this council. How do you see yourself lending that experience to council moving forward to effectively um, bring a better quality of life to the town of Linden?
Well, Marvin, you know, one of the principles we have always worked on, lived on, it's like our motto, which speaks directly to Article 13. And when you have inclusionary, participatory, and consultative going forward with any organization, you and I know that that helps and it works. And so what we've already started doing is working together as a team. And because we can work together, me, myself, and Mr. Solomon, I know Mr. Betchun, coming with that experience, and the younger ones that are there, Ms. Bentic is there before, the younger ones are very open. They are eager to learn. They are excited to work because they want to see development. So coming with the experience and being and having them being included, you know, that's something that's been missing on all sides. When you don't include and allow structures to work, we, as you know, Marvin, we allow structures to work. And once you allow the structures to work, the experience, along with those that are coming on board and eager to learn and to work, then you will see the progress of the new council. So I must say that I appreciate what is happening even right now, because we had some training sessions and we have been working together, and nobody is looking at anyone, you know, above or below anyone in layman's terms. So I know that the experience, along with those that are eager to see development and to work, and I am proud because one of the new councillors, one of my former students. So, you know, from Constituency 6, and I've worked with her before, and I know that she's going to, because of the type of student she was, I know she's going to perform well along with the others. And of course, you know, Mr. Solomon always like to ensure that we allow the structures to work, and he has a lot of passion and ideas, and so we've been doing it already, even though we have not entered the council as yet.
There's no doubt, there's no question in my mind, and I'm sure there's no doubt in anyone's mind regarding the unity of the councillors who have been directly elected and those who would be extracted from the list to serve the municipality of Linden. No doubt at all. There's also no doubt that there's strong ties of unity at the council, the municipal council and the regional democratic council levels. How do you see relationships among the municipality, RDC, and central government as you work with the other councillors to bring this improved quality of life to Linden and to realize the plans that this elected council, this newly elected council, has and will want to implement?
So, Marvin, you know, as Member of Parliament, I did work closely with the RDC when Mr. Solomon was chairman and some of the councils there. So for me, that will be no issue or problem. We have already we've still been working, and you know that we work in and out of season, and we.
There's a little break there.
Hello?
Yes, yes,
Hello?
you're back. We missed you for a couple of seconds, but you're back.
Yeah, someone was calling in. So you know
Okay.
this.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, go ahead, Vanessa.
Working with the RDC when I was a member of parliament. So it's just a transitioning for me. It's something that I will be continue doing because we always have that unity, that working together. You know, so that is not going to be any issue. I know what it's going to do. It's really going to strengthen what happens and takes place at the municipality and at the RDC in Linden and Region 10. So we know how to ensure that, because like I said, we allow structures to work, and there is always a way if the central government doesn't want to cooperate, well then the people will have to ensure that they do so. And I say people, I'm talking the people of Linden and the people of Region 10, because you see, Marvin, once people are aware of what is happening, once people understand, and when they realize that their councils are working for their benefit and their development, not as individuals, but alone, but as a collective, then people will begin to speak up, and people will begin to come out when they recognize that it is the central body or whoever is trying to stymie their progress. Once they are aware, and we pledge to ensure that our people, Linden, and because we're talking municipality and RDC, because you know RDC is Region 10, municipality is Linden, we will ensure that we Region 10 to ensure that they are aware of the issues and the representations that are made. So it wouldn't be a case where they are wondering. They will be kept up to date. And so they will understand what is really happening when it comes to development and progress of our town and our region.
Let me put two scenarios to you, Vanessa. In the run-up to local government election 2023, you seem to be having some difficulty here. Are you hearing? You hearing me? Okay, good. I'm putting these two scenarios to you. In the run-up to the elections, local government elections 2023, Mr. Jagdeo, who is General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party, he said that if the People's Progressive Party wins the city of Georgetown, the central government will work with the newly elected council. Of course, the People's Progressive Party did not win the city of Georgetown. The APNU did, and very resoundingly as well. The second scenario is this. In the immediate run-up to elections 2023 local government, there was a hype up in the solid waste collection across the city. The garbage was being collected and disposed of. But as soon as the election results were known for the city of Georgetown, the garbage collection stopped because that is the staff side of the council. The staff side of the council was trying to, give one impression, and after the People's Progressive Party didn't win, they stopped doing what they were doing to embarrass the incumbent council. What is happening in Linden? Has there been a commitment from central government to work with this newly elected council? And if not, is this council going to press central government for such a commitment? And in the scenarios number 2 that I gave you, were that to happen in Linden, how would it be treated by this new council?
Well, Marvin, first let me say we know that the PPP government operates as bullies, and they operate also as spy children when they cannot have their way. You know, when you're playing cricket and you're batting, and you know when you're out and you get vexed, you just throw down the bat, kick down the wicket, and nobody else can play. You pick up your ball because it's your ball or your bat, and you go home. I don't know if you ever had those type of experiences when you were a little boy playing cricket.
I went to Richard Ishmael. I know a little bit about cricket.
Right. But you know, the people operates like that. Spoil children when they don't get their way, and because they're holding the coffers, they control that. They believe that they will, try to bully their way in. In fact, Mr. Edge did say on television that they will stymie this new council. They want to know where are we going to get money from to ensure. But like I said, once the people training, and we had some very good insights of ways in which, and I'm not going to say it out loud because sometimes it's not good as a astute politician. You know what to say, when to say, and how to say. But I want to say this, that this council will ensure that they hold central government accountable. And one of the ways I will tell you is that we will let the people of Linden know what is happening. They are already starting to know it because since during the campaign, they were saying things, and after the campaign, they've been saying things on TV. So the people of Linden are aware that central government intends to stymie the progress and development of Linden through the municipality. However, Marvin, like you said, coming with experience, we will be able to ensure that we hold the central government accountable.
Thank you very much, Vanessa Kisoon, former member of Parliament. I believe Vanessa and I would have served in the 9th Parliament together.
Teacher by profession.
I beg your pardon?
Teacher by profession, mother by choice and blessings. Former member of Parliament.
Those who don't know Vanessa may not be familiar. Well, those who do know her will know for a fact that she openly challenged a former president to a public debate on issues. That challenge has never been responded to, and there are some views circulating out there regarding why that particular challenge from Vanessa Kisoon was met with silence. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I know you're on the phone and therefore wouldn't want to keep you too much longer. So thank you very much for joining us. We will continue the conversation with Ms. Bentic and Mr. Sharma Solomon, unless, of course, you have something to add before you go.
Let me say this. I am returning to my fellowship because, like you mentioned, I did part of the service to be a part of this program. But let me say this. And only last night I was watching a video where the Vice President, Mr. Robert Jagdeo, threatened this country. There will be no peace and all of that. If the PPP didn't win, and if this and if that. But we want them to know, Mr. Williams, we're not afraid of those type of threats and consequences. Because like I said, the PPP comes over as bullies. But when people become aware of what is really going on, and when people understand their rights, and a lot of times people remain silent and look as if they're in a shell or they're cocoon, because there are times when people are afraid, and that's because they don't understand their rights. But when people understand their rights and they recognize that there are a lot of young people out there who they're watching because they believe, and the PPP believe, that they can just buy our young people. There are issues in Linden here concerning the grants, and I know we're not going to be talking about that right now, but I hope at some point I will be able to come back on the show so that we can discuss, because the people of Guyana, the people of Linden, Richardson, and the people of Guyana need to understand their rights and need to understand that the central government is there to serve the people and not to be served. And so there are ways. I know there are many cumbersome ways. There's a poem I think there are many cumbersome ways to kill a man. There are many ways to ensure that we hold this government accountable. And so we just have to ensure that people are educated and they understand their rights. So I have to take my leave. Thank you very much for having me. And I know that my colleagues and my comrades will continue to ably represent the municipality and the region on a whole. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for joining us, and thank you for your views. Best wishes going forward as a councillor in the municipality of Linden. The APNU and the People's National Congress. Yeah, the APNU and the People's National Congress reform, we are proud of the accomplishments in Linden, and we thank you all for your hard work and the voters for their turnout and support. We'll continue the conversation with Ms. Alicia Bentic up next. Ms. Bentic.
Hi.
Now, we have a situation in local government in this country where the local government commission, as it is presently constituted, as it is presently provided for in law, seems to believe that it has the authority to override the decisions of elected councillors. There seemed to be a slight bit of error, my choice of words here, forgive me if I'm wrong, as I don't see that any sensible person will deliberately shape the law in that fashion. There seems to be this oddity that says that the commission has the authority, so that elected councils, municipal councils and district councils, let's stick to municipal councils here. They do not have the authority to hire administrative staff. They do not have the authority to discipline or to fire employed administrative staff. This body called the Local Government Commission uses its power to override decisions to employ, decisions to discipline, decisions to terminate administrative staff. So if the mayor and councillors sit and they make a decision that, look, we have a subcommittee has gone through some applications for town clerk. We find this person to be best suited for this job of town clerk, and therefore we recommend this person to be employed. The commission, if it doesn't like that particular person and it has a preference for someone else, irrespective of whether that person is better suited or best suited or not, they will have their way. Do you see the need for a change in this legislation that allows you as a member of council, together with your colleagues, to make decisions best suited and in the best interest of your council instead of having this authority override you?
I see the need for a change because when you're inside an organization as the municipality, there's so many Yes. In an organization as the mayor and town council, I see the need for us to work in the confine of the 2801. Because the 2801 give us rules and regulations and the way in which we should function. And when you find the local government, the local government commission or the local government body wanting to override the elected government, elected aspect of this process, it's not fair and it's not right. While we know in 2021, I believe then it was, my mind serves me right, we did receive a letter stating that the local government minister would have taken away 97% of the functions of the Linden municipality. If it is that that happened with the other municipalities, I can only speak of Linden. And with that, we were trying our best to work through certain things and we were not getting it done because we realized that if somebody have an issue at the council, we had to take it up with the local authority. For instance, if somebody fought at the municipality, and you know sometimes when persons fight, what would happen? And knowing that you have those persons right there at work, and we're waiting for information from the local government.
Commission.
And with that, it was not good for the managing personnel and the staff itself. So I believe moving forward, we will continue to work with the principles of the 2801 that were given to us. We will continue to read and look at the Local Government Act as well so that we can better function as a council. Because without looking at the rules and the regulations and really understanding what it is that we need to do, we will work well and we will continue to function properly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's bring Sharma back in here. Sharma, the principle of local government, the principle of local democracy. You know, Hugh Desmond Hoyt was the person who led the process of creating the legislation and for local government and local democracy in Guyana, way back, I believe, 1980 or somewhere around then. And if you look at the framework, it is one that is geared to see government by the people, government for the people, government through the people, and government from the bottom up, so to speak. So that the smallest council, the neighborhood democratic council, the municipal council, they will do the work in the villages, in the wards of the municipality, in the villages of the neighborhood. And what they do will be sending signals upwards so that the next tier of government, which is the regional government, will pick up from where the local government sort of caps its work. And then that second tier government, the RDC, which you are very familiar with having been a past regional chairman yourself, will now go up to central government for the larger projects, the larger management issues, the larger issues that will engage the attention of ministries of the government now. We have seen a return to this sort of bottom-up government between 2015 and 2020. We have seen from before then, from the first local government election to 2015, a turning upside down, for want of a better expression, of this principle of government, bottom-up government. And we had a minister somewhere in 4th Street, Kingston, directing and dictating how local democracy should function on the ground, how money is to be spent and all that. We have seen a return post-2020 to a top-down approach to government, having no regard whatsoever for local democracy, local government principles and all that. And we just heard about this letter coming to the mayor and town council from central government, relieving it of some of its key and critical functions, an elected body being diluted by central government. Do you share this view that there's now a top-down as opposed to bottom-up government? And if you do, how do you see this being repaired outside of a change of government, of course?
Well, I share both views. I share the view that, of course, what we are seeing is a top-down approach to government and the quest to eradicate governance, as you see in the parliament and you see down below. And I agree that it is certainly with the removal of government that you will see the return to fundamental local democratic principles in Guyana. You see, there is an ideological difference. You spoke of Desmond Height and how long the People's National Congress um, and I think it goes to that quest of self-determination and respect. And even if you go as far back as the village movement of people's quest to take portions of Guyana and manage it, and the intention of the crown then to ensure it takes from them their ability to have total management over those portions of land they acquire. You see the same principles in the People's Progressive Party as it relates to not only in the 80s, the pushback when you had the Height administration or the Height era of promoting local governance, but even in the Granger administration, where you saw the establishment of capital towns, where you saw the decentralization of the Guyana police force and making them more regional oriented, and really returning to communities the empowerment of their management structures, including local democratic organs. What you saw after 2020, it's a reluctance to that 21 years that you had in the People's Progressive Party of not even having local democracy, local government elections, stymied. So 3 years into 2020, 2023, a reluctance to keep local government elections. And when those elections were held, even though advised that the list and other things that will ensure that 2 weeks on, we don't see GCOM taking time to not only certify, but to have councils sworn in so that they can have work for local democratic groups on the ground done. So those for me represent strong ideological difference of how we view returning power, as you mentioned, the top-down and the bottom-up approach to government and governance that allow people a more involved relationship in how they see their communities working. And I go right back to that very example of the road to Linden to Madia, because it's only recent as a few days, where a minister can make reckless the claim that all stakeholders were involved in this conversation that affects the most populated tongue between the coastland and the interland. This is the bridge between that and a critical piece of infrastructure. And the people of this community, through their elected and local representatives, were not invited. And he is so calm to say all stakeholders were involved. So I think in that very basic example, you see fundamentally how this government treats local democracy, respect for government, respect for governance, as opposed to a People's National Congress coming from the Desmondite era, promoted by a David Granger, for example, in these capital towns, and even what we saw in the structures of local democracy, whether it's the empowerment of the commission in 2013, the laws in 2013, and the empowerment of the commission in 2019. And then you see, even with the commission having that power and allowing the local democratic organs to have that power to hire, to fire, to make recommendations. In 2021, a letter to local democratic groups, municipalities, and neighborhood democratic council by this local government minister saying 19 of those hires have now returned directly to him, again, demonstrates just that ideological position of where this government sees local democracy as opposed to a People's National Congress and how we have been promoting local democratic principles.
Thank you very much, Sharma. We are completely out of time. I'd like to thank you and the other elected councillors who joined us on this program today. Thank you, Ms. Bentic. Thanks to Ms. Vanessa Kisoon, Mr.
You're
Sharma
welcome.
Solomon. And I thank the people of Linden on behalf of the People's National Congress Reform and the Partnership for National Unity, for your resounding victory in the municipality of Linden. I trust that you will do well by your people. Congratulations and best wishes going forward. And to our viewers and wherever you've joined us from today, thank you very much for joining us and staying with Nation Watch. I'm Mervyn Williams, your host, thanking you ever so much for joining us. Have a blessed rest of the day.